Welcome back. This is John Locke, and today I'm analyzing a article that I came across called "Does the Hero Image Matter?" This is on the 3.7designs.co blog. I just found this very interesting. Now, if you watched the video that we did yesterday, and where we were talking about analyzing what's on the page, elements in the page, there are going to be some cases where it is important to have a hero image, but this article talks specifically about how certain hero images perform. And let's go over it really quick, what this article says. So it talks about how a lot of websites incorporate the hero image, and this is like more like a banner, but usually the hero image is like a big full width, full height image that appears at the top of a page. Usually it's on the home page or another landing page. Usually it's got some sort of call to action headlines. And usually what they're talking about in this article is selecting the right imagery to elicit the right type of emotional response. So in this case, will help your website and digital marketing efforts soar. Have a picture of a balloon, the text over here to the left, call to action buttons to the left. And again, most people read in this F shape where they read the top corner and then over to the right and then down. So this F shape is how people read. So the headline here, call to action buttons, image over here. So it's a metaphor for making the effort soar. Oh, the balloon goes up. Okay. So it's usually the first thing you're going to see on the homepage. And what they're talking about is often this is a cause of a lot of attention, a lot of debate, a lot of consideration during the web design process, and especially if you're dealing with clients that are really particular about what image they're going to show and how it affects people. So, what they were talking about in 2017 was a study where they were looking at a client's website, and there was a lot of talk about, what are we going to put in hero image. So they decided to go with three different ones. So they were looking at these three images. It was either going to be this one here with this kind of blocks, I guess, or like squares. There's a blue, red, kind of yellowish green, uh, or this image of the hand holding a crystal ball, and it's the city reflected upside down. Interestingly enough, you see that the over here the text is in the center. Over here the text is on the right, which is kind of opposite of that F shape that we're talking about. Or this one with the cityscape. See these a lot in stock photography, with the text on the left and this square motif that we saw here. Obviously, this is part of the design. I don't know anything about this company. I'm just noticing that these squares appear here and they appear there. But to me, this one is not really compelling. I mean, to me, this one's okay. To me, this is like the most visually interesting. Okay, so I guess there's explanation here. This is talking about the brand elements, and the colors are different service groups. I would have never known that. This one is talking about a metaphor of seeing the world through a different lens and different perspective. Well, I guess there are like little squares here. I guess I didn't notice them before, but they're there. And then this one was the baseline concept, focusing on an innovative and growing city. Okay. But what they did is they tested it using metrics like average page view per session, average time on site per session, and bounce rate. So they ran it for 53 days and 1,382 sessions. So that's how many times people saw that page. This was the winner as far as engagement. that would have been my first choice too, as far as an image that elicits an emotional response and is just visually interesting. You've heard us talk about this before, where design is a part of SEO. This used science to back it up. They used the split test with 3 different ones, and this was the most interesting. This had the most engagement, led to the lowest bounce rate, or the best engagement metrics. So these who saw this as the first image on the site, they consumed 26% more pages compared to the baseline of the cityscape. And the one with the red, green, and blue, that was only 9% more. That's interesting. And then people stayed on the site 43% longer with this the crystal ball in the lens upside down city. People stayed on the site 43% longer. And again, the idea with the squares of the red, the blue, and the yellowish screen, that was a 9% improvement. Bounce rate, no change. So this means that, imagery can make a difference in how people behave on your site. I just thought it was very interesting what they used. I think they said tools like Google Optimize make it extremely easy to run tests such as these. So there's a couple comments here I wanted to look at too. One person said, "Did you also test against no image? I would be curious to find out how this test, no image versus image, would perform nowadays where mobile traffic share is so high." And I think what they're saying is you'd save a little bit of speed or bandwidth by not loading that image. That would be like one asset that you would not load. And granted, like photography, images are usually the heaviest part of the page. But I would probably shy away from that if that was me, because as we talked about in the last video, you don't want to go against the pattern of things that Google is already ranking. So if the majority of sites have a hero area like this, they have a full width, almost full height image with some, a headline and maybe like a little tagline here, maybe a call to action button. You don't really want to go against that grain and have nothing, because Google might be looking for those, because its pattern of data, looking at all the different sites that it's looked at in that specific category for that query, sites with a hero image might do better. And so they might be looking for that as something to give just one data point, give it like a little extra push. So you could test that, but that would probably be something that I would shy away from doing at all if all the other sites in my category had a hero image. I hope you find this interesting. I will link this up in show notes. I would love to hear your thoughts. Web design does make a difference. And again, pattern matching is something that, we preach a lot here. Anyway, my name's John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO. I'm here every single day making videos on SEO. Thank you to all the new subscribers that have come on recently. I really appreciate it. We'll be here tomorrow. That's all I have for now. Till next time, peace.